Hey, I get to move again because, well, traffic's finally calmed down. Oh, that's great. So finally up and moving again. I just like hearing the engine. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video I'm going to explain why Dodge needs to bring back the Magnum. And to do that, we're actually going to be looking at an RT Magnum. First and foremost though, a huge shout out and thank you to Chris that works up here at the Dodge Ram in Bountiful, Utah for giving me some time with his Magnum. If you're looking for a new Dodge, Ram, Jeep, or Chrysler, he's your guy. I'll include a link to their inventory in the description down below. Make sure you ask for Chris. And then as always, on a side note, if you want to save time, money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So under the hood we have a naturally aspirated 5.7 liter Hemi V8 that goes through a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now this powertrain originally produced close to about 340 horsepower, but you guys can see that, well, Chris has added a bunch of really cool Mopar accessories, and so this produces closer to 400 horsepower. It's not quite 400 horsepower, but it's closer to like the modern RT from a power perspective, which is absolutely awesome. And we all know that all of you watching this love this powertrain, and so if we had this powertrain with the modern 8-speed that you can get in the Challenger and Charger, then I mean that would just be so awesome. And I love how this looks under the hood with all the blue accenting. It's perfect for the spec on this car. Now before we go further into the video, I do want to mention that if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend that you subscribe, because I post videos every single day on a large variety of different cars and topics. Now diving into the spec on this particular Magnum, it is so cool. This is the coolest Magnum I've personally seen in person, and I said person like 3 times in a row. But anyways, I love the blue accent. You guys can see it's kind of a theme with this car, and you can see the giant stripes that go all the way over. And then notice like the RT badge also have got the blue accenting on it. And the thing that's cool about the Magnum is, unlike the Charger of this generation, this car still looks cool to this day because you've got the wagon appearance, and we'll kind of get into why that's important in a moment. But you guys can see that this actually has aftermarket. Well, they're not aftermarket in the sense of not being Mopar, but they're aftermarket in the sense of they weren't originally on this car. These are from a 2013 SRT. You guys can see they're 245, 45, 20 in terms of the width for the front. And then I'm guessing the rear is going to be a little bit wider potentially. I don't know, 245, 45, 20 for the rear as well. But I want to show you guys some closer details. You can see the brake calipers have been painted blue on this car, which is really cool. Obviously got our Hemi badge as well, and then lots of carbon fiber accenting throughout with the car. And this is where things get real important, the wagon aspect of the Magnum. This is why people want this. Now actually popping over to the rear of the Magnum, first off, I love the taillights on this. I think they look so cool, and you can see the stripes, like it's all the way down on this car. Got these custom exhaust tips, and you guys will love the sound of this because, you know, 5.7 Hemi, also coolest custom license plate ever. Anyways, this is why everyone wants the Magnum, and that is because, well, is this YouTube friendly? It's a Halloween decoration, guys, calm down. But seriously, you have so much storage space that you could literally fit a body in here if you wanted to. I thought it was funny, guys, okay? But you guys can see the cargo cover back here, but the biggest thing is this is so much more practical compared to a Charger or Challenger from a storage space perspective in the rear. And this is what a lot of people want today, because a lot of people want the handling characteristics and the driving experience of, you know, a muscle car, but then they want something that's actually practical like this. I'm married now, and I can tell you this is a lot easier to sell to my wife than something like a Charger or a Challenger, because I can be like, hey, we can go on family road trips and tons of storage space. So it just, yeah, that's something that needs to be stated in this video. But there is the outside of this car. Now before we dive into the interior, I do want to mention that this is actually a pretty rare spec. I think Chris told me it's like one of 22 ever built, because it has this mineral gray on the outside, and then you guys can see the interior color here, which is really cool. But popping in, this is something else I want to mention. So I've reviewed a bunch of Chargers and Challengers, and I can tell you the Magnum, as you can see, has so much more space for the second row. Again, it makes it just more like practical as a family car. Also, these are so comfy. I love the little seatbelt cover right there. But again, this is another big benefit of the Magnum is, again, you got the storage space in the rear, but then you also have way more rear legroom compared to a Charger or Challenger, and so the practicality just keeps stacking up. Let's head to the front. Yeah, I actually really dig this two-tone interior, by the way. I think this is super cool. And why can't more automakers make comfy seats like what they used to do? But let's actually pop into the Magnum here. You guys can see we've got the Mopar logo there in the center. And yeah, remember when we had to put keys in the ignition? Gotta love that V8 sound. But another thing here is we've got plenty of space here in the front. We actually have a sunroof with this one. This one's like loaded up, let me tell you. It even has heated seats, and look at all the carbon fiber that Chris has added throughout. Like I said, really, really special car. And then here's what the gauge cluster used to look like back in the day, which is pretty cool. And let's actually shut the door, because I think he told me he's got like over 103,000 miles. So he drives this, and again, this kind of goes to the practicality. The fact that he's able to put 103,000 miles on this car because one, it's reliable, and two, it's comfortable enough that you're willing to put many miles. But with that being said, let's, oh, also look at that RT badge there. I'm getting distracted by all the cool little touches that he's added to this. Let's take this out, drive this, and kind of talk about Magnum life. I forgot that I had to put the key in for a second there. I was like, where's my push button start? Oh boy, am I spoiled. So we are setting off in Chris's Magnum, and first off, something I want to mention is this exhaust is ridiculously loud. I love it, because you can really like hear the 5.7 Hemi V8. And there's a lot of I forgot they used to do cruise control stalks, and it's right by the turn signal stalk, and so it's kind of a weird experience. And I do want to mention that there was a lot of modifications, like sway bar upgrade and all that kind of stuff that I didn't go over in the walk around portion of today's video. Like I said, Chris has put a lot of time, effort, and money into this car, and so it's like, this is what I was waiting for when it comes to reviewing a Magnum, is something like this that's like just really well set up. But anyways, seat comfort is absolutely fantastic. Now, modern Dodges have really comfortable seats in like the Hellcat package, for example. If you get like the full leather seats, those seats are amazingly comfortable, so that's actually not a problem whatsoever. The other thing that I want to mention is initially, like getting up and moving, ride quality. That's another good thing. So finally up and moving again. I just like hearing the engine. That's all I need. I just need to hear this engine more. But like I was saying, ride quality is so smooth, and that's one of the benefits of wagons. Is typically what manufacturers will do with wagons is they'll, you know, stretch out the wheelbase a little bit compared to like the sedan counterpart, which obviously makes it so that it's quote unquote less nimble, but what you gain is more backseat room and obviously more cargo room as well, and better ride quality, which is really good for a vehicle that you're going to daily drive. And that's kind of what the wagon life is all about, hence the 103,000 miles on this particular car. Some other stuff with it, it still drives like a performance car. Like, that's the thing that's really cool about wagons like the Magnum, is you still have performance car handling. Now, obviously, this is more on the muscle car side of things, so it's not like super precise. I just realized that the vent might be blowing in your guys' face. So I'm gonna be a little sweaty here. We're gonna turn down the AC so that you guys don't get any airflow on the GoPro. But the point that I'm trying to make is, like, this is still a fun vehicle to drive. Like, if you like how a muscle car drives, that's what this does. This still drives like a muscle car. Like, got the V8 noises. This is fun. We gotta just get into it a little bit. This sounds so good. This is so fun. But those of you that follow the channel know that, well, I'm living the married life now, and I've got a baby on the way. And so, you know, my priorities have obviously changed quite a bit. And so I understand, like, the appeal of practical performance cars a lot more than when I was younger. Because when I was single, living in my mom's basement, you know, I was like, oh, who cares about, like, storage space and all that kind of stuff? It's like, it's just me and my backpack. But now it's like, okay, well, we got the wife, we got the baby, we got their stuff, we got my stuff. So like, you know what? Storage space is important, and you know, we're gonna be going on family trips and all that kind of stuff. And so it's like having the ability to store a bunch of stuff, but then also have a car that's like fun as an enthusiast, I think is really important. Now, a lot of manufacturers, like, you know, Dodge, don't really pay too much attention to wagons anymore because they think it's a waste of time, because back when this was released, it sold pretty well, just over like 100,000 units total or something like that. I might be off on the numbers a little bit. Chris will correct me in the comment section below if I'm off, but it sold pretty well. But it didn't sell like amazingly well. Just to give you an idea, like the Challenger right now, for example, they sell like hundreds of thousands per year, and this sold like 100,000 total or something like that. And so there's not a ton of these out there. And so to a manufacturer like Chrysler, right, or Dodge rather, same thing, they're gonna be like, oh, well, there's not a lot of demand for this product, so we probably shouldn't, you know, build this. But things have changed a lot since the, you know, early 2000s, because in the early 2000s, right, this was right before the recession hit, and, you know, people were actually making decent money back then, and cars were, you know, expensive, but they weren't today's level of expensive. And so, this thing's so much fun. So what that means is that, you know, me as the average Joe could go out and buy a practical daily driver, and then I could buy a secondary like sports car that's fun, you know, as an enthusiast for the weekend. And so then something like this that's trying to combine the two didn't make sense back then. But now, when the average price of a brand new car is like $50,000, owning two cars for the average person isn't practical anymore. And so purchasing a car like this that can do both the performance driving and the practical stuff is a lot more appealing. And so I think that automakers are kind of behind the curve a little bit on this, and they should bring back fast wagons like this, hatchbacks, whatever you want to call it. People will always say things. Because it's so much more practical in today's world. And so, yeah, really cool car. And I just want to say this, like, because I've already said this a million times, if Dodge brought this back in today's market, especially with all the changes they're making. So we've got the new Hurricane engine coming out. Just think about this for a second, people. Think if we had a, you know, completely new body style for the Charger and Challenger, and then we had a new Magnum, okay, with a twin turbo, inline six, with like 500 horsepower. And if you live in, you know, you can get it with rear wheel drive, and you can option out all wheel drive if you live in a winter climate where you know, would prefer all wheel drive. Tell me that would not be the coolest car ever, because I think that would be one of the coolest cars ever made. And so Dodge needs to do it. We need a 500 horsepower wagon, and it's in the direction they want to go. It has the new powertrain that they're going for, and with such an iconic vehicle. So again, Dodge, if you're watching this, bring back the Magnum, throw the Hurricane in it, give us all-wheel drive, give us the modern 8-speed automatic transmission that's so good in the new Challengers and Chargers. Maybe even throw in a manual. I mean, think about that for a second. That'd be a sweet vehicle. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if they should bring back the Magnum. And thanks again to Chris for lending me his car also. I'm gonna have to throw on the GPS because I totally got lost. I do not know where I am anymore. So on that note, see ya. That's gonna sum things up with our video on this Magnum. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to Chris for giving me some time with his car. I really appreciate it. Like I said, link to the Larry H. Miller, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, Chrysler, and Bountiful's website in the description down below. Make sure you ask for Chris if you have any questions. I'll see ya.